Hey, look at that. I didn't do it in the same time.
That was perfectly timed.
Perfectly. Um, man. Uh, welcome back. I hope you're feeling better from
I'm
that.
doing so much better. It's it's easy to come back from death.
Yeah, it
It's
should be.
harder to get there.
Also, I think
That's what I've heard.
I just realized like you got a Deftone shirt on.
Oh yeah, and it's a black cat. I had a cat on me earlier covering it up, but now she's gone.
Now she's gone. Well, it's admirable. Is today the day that you decided to come up with an intro?
I've been stewing on one, and I've been stewing on one, and we're gonna try it out. Ben hasn't heard any of this. He
Nothing.
hasn't heard a single ounce of this. So the way we're gonna do it is, we're gonna go. Imagine it just happened. Imagine we just went live, and now I go. I'm Angelo, and he's
What?
inquisitively, questionably, he says, and then we say something along the lines of, "Behold the speculative." No, oh fuck, I already fucked it up. This is take one. The audience is gonna get to hear us
Throw it into
work
it.
this intro in and make it happen. I liked how about um the premier speculators of speculative fiction, where we ponder the question, are we watching?
That is really good, but that also sounds very much like some Carl Sagan stuff as well.
Who?
Uh Carl Sagan. Oh my
Do you mean
God.
Bob Saget?
No, Bob Saget's dead. So is Carl Sagan, but no, no.
My point rests.
Right? Man. Well, by the time this comes out, it'll be before or like the same day as the second episode of Daredevil Born Again. So, but those first two episodes of Daredevil Born Again, how since it came back, since in case nobody knows, it came back, which I'm pretty sure a lot of people can understand. It's out on Disney Plus. Um, how were you feeling about those two episodes of Born Again?
Uh, well, I watched them. Oh, I didn't even watch them back to back. I watched each episode individually over 2 nights, and I really liked them. I was, I think that my expectations were pretty high,
Yeah,
and I think my expectations were met in the ways that I was expecting them. I was really kind of hoping for them to get met. I have qualms, but I mean, we're, I think we're both, you and I are both critics at heart.
yeah, yeah, very much so. And it's
What about you?
also is I enjoyed the two episodes, but there was a lot of like technical aspects that bugged the hell out of me. So it was so annoying because like once it started, you could tell it felt like they were trying to copy the Netflix series, like the tone of it. And this is all from like the technical aspects, from the like the cinematography, the way that they're filming it, the way that they're going about it. It really felt like that they were trying to copy that, and they didn't do like a good job at it. Like it was a piss poor effort almost, which I don't mean to sound super harsh, which I know I'm probably gonna sound uh harsh, even though I took something else. But it's like from the open shot, you could tell that it wasn't the same. That it wasn't the same type of show. I mean, it wasn't the same as Netflix, and even though like I do feel this type of way, I still liked it. But those are certain things that kind of stuck out. Even that first fight with all of the smoke. Why so much smoke? Why wasn't so much smoke for that? Where they didn't even need to have all that smoke. I don't know if you can hear the dogs going crazy. at my house.
No, I was muted because of the sounds.
Oh.
The sounds.
Yeah, it made no sense. It took away from the fight, in my opinion, having all that smoke because you couldn't see what was going on.
Yeah, I think it's because Matt wanted all that smoke. That's why.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's terrible.
No, I know what you mean. I think that right off the bat, I thought it was really well choreographed. I think that when you say things like you think that they were trying to, try to replicate
Yeah, trying to emulate that
the
series.
Netflix, the original, I think that there's elements of that. I think that first fight having this kind of like long, or choreographed fight that kind of sprawls from area to area was obviously them trying to I don't even know if I would call it like a copy. I would almost say that they were trying to do a good nod to those extremely well done, long choreographed fights from the previous show.
Yeah.
Each season, of course, in case anyone needs a refresher, each season had at least one kind of like long, um, deliberately shot fight scene.
Yeah.
And that felt like that was what they were trying to do. It was also a big moment. Spoilers, everybody, of course, because they did bring back Bullseye, right? They brought him
Yeah.
back. Uh, and it was kind of this like, we're going full tilt. I thought it was ambitious. We texted about this
Yeah.
after we watched it, and I said that they took some really big swings in that first episode.
Literally.
That I really appreciated the ambition. I really appreciated the ambition, and not all of them landed for me.
No.
The for me though, I like the fight. I do think that it was lit weird. I think that was probably the hard thing. I think the smoke and stuff like that made it difficult. I also just don't think I was ready for like a fight to happen in like the first 10 minutes. And I had said that like actually the hardest thing for me was the CGI shots
Oh,
of
yeah.
him like rappelling up to the rooftop. Like when he first puts on the suit, he gets like his kind of like rooftop scene where he's, swinging and jumping. And there's just a couple of shots that look like kind of like bad green screen. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, that's kind of like par for the course for like MCU projects. Um, which it definitely feels like, okay, we're playing with a bigger budget than Daredevil on Netflix had, especially for a premiere episode. And I think that that's where those big swings came from, which was, okay, what do we do? What do we do with all this money?
Yeah.
And so I think some of it worked and some of it didn't. And I would honestly say, though, after that scene, the remainder of the two episodes is a lot more smaller scope, a lot more personal beats. We really only get like one more fight in the two episodes after that. Because, I mean,
Yeah.
obviously Matt has kind of sworn off violence, but I actually like that because I think they took a huge swing at first, and then the rest of it was like, okay, let's settle into the world and let's settle into the characters. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah, they did try to do a lot of that settling into the characters and everything, but like some of the stuff, some of the shots, yeah, the CGI, making him swing like he's a hybrid Batman, Spider-Man, crazy.
Yeah.
That was more than what we needed. But even some of the shots, like the way that they were trying to zoom in on that first episode on certain moments, where I was like, do we need to keep doing this right now? What is going on? Bullseye being laying on the ground. They're zooming close to
And then
his
the eye opening.
face.
Well,
Yeah, and then the other one where it was like when Fisk and Charlie, like, I mean, when Fisk and Matt met up, and
at the diner.
yeah, no, before the diner, when he ran into him outside the office.
Oh, yeah.
Great moment, a super great moment. And then when it walks away, it was like, let's zoom out on them from the other side of the street of what's going on. It's like, why?
Yeah.
Why you guys
Yeah.
don't need to do that zoom in, zoom out shot so much, and it really takes takes away from some of the aspect of it because it feels like so we all had got the earlier news that they were making the show, and then the first iteration of it, even though they were shot a bunch of scenes, got canceled.
Right.
Remember that first run through, and then they had to redo it over because apparently whatever they were going for was not Daredevil at all, and they knew it was going to be a shit show. Um,
Was this prior to him reprising the role in No Way Home and in She-Hulk?
I
Was this way before that? Was it kind of around that time?
think it might have been somewhere around that time
Okay.
because if I remember correctly, like the rumor was it was going to be more of a courtroom drama instead of
Oh,
Daredevil.
okay.
Um, and and then they get back to this, but there's moments in it where it seems like they didn't know exactly what they were like. How do we do this? Because granted, we don't need a carbon copy of the Nexus series. The Nexus series is phenomenal. It is great from like their cinematography, the stories, everything. Like it looks really good because
Acting.
even when that yeah even acting even when they had so that first fight with all the smoke, I went back and watched some fights in the other Daredevil. Like yeah, there's a big difference on how they use the color in the shots and how they shoot.
Oh yeah.
Um, and grant I don't think anybody expected like a straight carbon copy because we knew Disney had it, but
Yeah.
there should have been an effort to kind of it doesn't seem like as much of an effort was put into knowing what you're going to do with it. Like they might have really suffered from that rewrite time to shooting back into it instead of getting, hey, let's get a really good fight choreographer. Let's really get somebody who could really film these fights scenes a lot better. Somebody who could do this stuff in the way that we want it to be a little bit more gritty for the street
Yeah.
level drama that it is. It seems like the team or most of the vision that they had beforehand, some of that might have stayed where it didn't need to. Is a bit of the feeling that I kind of get with it. Because like why do you kill Foggy again? Spoilers. This whole episode spoilers. Doesn't matter. This whole episode spoilers. Like why do you kill Foggy right then and there?
Yeah.
Is another weird thing, and the ramifications from it, like having him and Karen not talk for a year, like they haven't been through tragedy together. Realistically, that should have brought them closer. This is Foggy dying feels like it it's the first thing that's ever happened to them in that type of way.
Yeah. I think that if they're trying to tell the story of a kind of like broken, um, not broken, but like a changed person, I think that I think the form and content is that, this has been a long time coming and we're kind of settling into a new chapter with a lot of time in between. I think kind of setting the tone as like things are completely different now
Yeah.
was that's kind of where I think they're going to go with it. I have no idea where it's going to go moving forward with those two, especially with Karen and Foggy respectively.
Yeah.
And if they're going to show any sort of if they're going to do any sort of flashbacks, or because if I recall, they those two characters and the respective actors were not supposed to return to
Yeah.
the project. And people were up in arms, myself included too, because that show does really well because it is kind of an ensemble,
Yeah.
especially with those three, especially. I mean, Fisk is kind of like the fourth of the like main cast, I would say, in the original show. So for them to not return, I think a lot of people, myself, were kind of not enthused at that. And so for it to kind of be like, well, we brought him back, but it's only for this brief part, almost like essentially the prologue of the show. And I'm curious to see if they're going to return in any sort of way. Uh, it's too early to tell.
yeah, that's true. It is very too early to tell. Even though with my speculations on those things, it does still feel very, very much like, okay, yeah, this is only 2 episodes. So, did I lose you? Oh no, I think I lost Angelo. And you're back. There you go.
Sorry, I thought I could get away with running and grabbing something really, really quickly, and I don't know if it panned out. I was like, I'm muting myself so he doesn't hear me huffing and puffing. But then I might just hear him be like, "I'm lost him," and I'm like, "No, I'm here. I swear."
You could have just also left your stream on. I know you would have been gone, but it would have been fine.
It was just an empty chair.
Yeah, it would have been
I
fine.
guess that
Hey,
would have been better. Next time around, I'll leave the chair empty.
empty chair looks very streamerish. That's what it does. Like,
I guess. Yeah, that's true.
empty chair. I don't know. What was I saying? God. I felt like I felt like,
We were talking about how like
oh,
this is. Go ahead.
oh no, yeah. No, fuck. It being still 2 episodes in. It's still being like I have all these things. So I feel the same way like with Karen, like we still don't know what's going on. Yeah, there's gonna be more episodes. This is only 2 episodes in of this season of who knows how many episodes because I do not. Um,
I
but
think it's 9.
okay, hopefully that'll be good. One per week, maybe a longer last episode. But yeah, it's even though it's still in the beginning, there's a lot of things that they've done good and a lot of things that obviously that I hope gets improved over time. Um, one of the other good things was one of the things that kind of was weird and kind of annoying me was using the BB report as exposition.
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah,
I clocked it as soon as I saw, she introduces herself through audio, the BB Urich character, which I'm like, oh, okay, so she's related to Ben Urich, so there's going to be something there. And then they finally showed her on camera, like her actual character, and
yeah,
then that's
right.
when they explain that she's like the niece, right? Was
Beneath,
that she's his niece?
yeah. Yeah.
I I that one kind of threw me off because I'm like, okay, there's a familial element, obviously, and I'm hoping there's going to be some dividends with that later, especially since she
Yeah.
met with Fisk, and I'm like, and I was explaining it to Aaron. I'm like, you remember who Ben Urich is, right? And you remember what happened with him, especially with his connection to Fisk. Like, he got him killed, basically, right? So it's
Yeah,
kind of like,
exactly.
all right,
Yeah.
there's something there. He had him killed, I should say.
Yeah.
So, do you hear is the car alarm picking
No,
up?
you're
Okay.
good. But yeah, no, there needs to be something because it's starting to feel like, oh, you guys are just, doing fan service by making her Ben's niece. Cause yeah, there needs to be a payoff. There needs to be a payoff for that. Otherwise, it is going to be very cheap. It's very weird. And I'm hoping they don't do the, um, other part where it's, what is it? Kind of like Shuri in Black Panther, where Shuri had Killmonger and her show up and then all of a sudden she agrees with Killmonger. I don't want to see, I don't want to see BB, all of a sudden Kingpin who got her uncle killed. And obviously she loved her uncle because she was trying to follow in his footsteps doing something. And
Right.
then all of a sudden she finds out it was like, or ends up helping Kingpin and all this other type of nonsense. I'm hoping it doesn't end up being one of those either. So that would be weird.
Yeah, that wouldn't be great.
Yeah.
That wouldn't be great.
It would.
I'm expecting better dividends. I'm expecting. She definitely had like a standoffish nature in that brief interview with
Yeah.
him. So I'm hoping that she's a thorn in his side. Uh, that's what I'm hoping for.
Also, but yeah, but
Uh,
her as exposition, using the BB report as exposition to like kind of fill out your story is like, oh, come on, please don't do this.
Yeah, I'm hoping maybe that pays off somehow. It's still too early to tell. I think about how we watched the 2 episodes of X-Men 97
Oh yeah,
when they did their premiere. It seems like Disney Plus is doing this 2 episode premiere every now and then, which I dig. Although it just kind of it cuts your viewing length in half a little bit, or not in half, but by a quarter sometimes, because now I think they could have done just a single episode out, but we would have less to talk about today if they did that. But I do remember when X-Men 97 came out, you and I kind of, I think, both spoke about how things were kind of caught our eye in a way that was like, I don't know how I feel about this. Something like Lenore Zahn's voice
Rogue.
acting as Rogue.
Yeah.
We were both like, she sounds old.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But then as the show progressed, I completely got over it. And I'm like, you know what? And I think it's because she had such a main role that I was like, I love it actually. I wouldn't want them to recast. And like the animation,
Yeah.
I still have my qualms with, but I think after you watch a few more episodes, you're more engrossed in other aspects of it. And if it has a good story or it's done well, then certain other things you kind of throw to the wayside a little bit in appreciation of the greater project.
Yeah. Well, also in that specifically, we also trying to realize like that animation style seemed like it was specifically for their action scenes because that's where it looked like on
Yeah,
fire. This is where it looked like it's
yeah,
supposed to. Um,
exactly.
but yeah, even more was like with some of this, like it had. Sorry, looking at this, some of the notes for the stuff I had, but one of the things that they did really well was like moments. They had some really good moments. Like I mentioned before, the moment between him and Fist, really Matt and Fist first meeting at the outside the courthouse was pretty good. And then them going to the diner and talking, it felt like a big here's our return to norm in the series.
Yeah,
Them two uh semi pleasantries, but also kind of like checking each other. It felt like
yeah.
that good return to norm, which I really like because both of them they are very good together, and
Mhm.
this is they know how to have dialogue together. They know how to have those good conversations
Yeah,
where it's feeling.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. So I think that they've obviously spent a lot of time on camera together or just like in concert with each other. And I think both Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio like have really good chemistry. They play off each other really nicely. I would speak also to the strength of the writing when it comes to the dialogue, because
yeah,
that diner scene in particular, the dialogue, the back and forth, that's hard to do. And they
very,
really had to nail it when they were showing those two characters kind of interacting for the first time in like, what is it, like 7 years? Like
mhm.
it's something crazy. So for them to interact kind of like on that scene is kind of like a fight to me.
Yeah,
The diner scene, especially, that's a choreographed fight. In the same way that some of those courtroom scenes in the original show were kind of like a fight. It was a set piece, right?
yeah,
And or like in the original show, the scene where the long scene where him and Frank, the Punisher, kind of like debate on the rooftop. One of my favorite
oh
scenes,
yeah,
period, in the entire show. That kind of feels like a fight, even though Frank is chained up the whole time. Or one, no, I think
Matt's chained
Daredevil's
up.
chained up.
Yeah,
Matt's
Matt's
chained up, but it's a battle of wits, right? It's a battle of
uh,
morals. And I think that when Matt and Fisk kind of interact with each other, it is similarly like it's a battle of wits. It's a kind of a I'm waiting for you to make the move. Like we could fight right now if you wanted to, but we're not going to. We're going to keep it civil.
yeah,
And I really thought that the writing on, especially in that scene, was really really good.
very
Um,
good. Yeah,
and I that's what I want. And things like that, those highs, I think are gonna be what makes me really be like, okay, I'm excited to see what's gonna happen next. Um, yeah,
yeah, because even like so that was a really dope moment. The other really good moment was Sis coming back and then him interrupting Vanessa's meeting.
Oh
Just
yeah.
just having him solo walk into that spot and stand there, and everybody. It starts with her in the room with everybody. Then they're kind of bickering back and forth, and then she calms them down in her way, and she gets everything
Yeah.
stayed in her way. And then the door opens and slides to the side, and all you see is Fist walk and stand there, and then everybody's tempo and everybody's mood changes.
Mhm.
Everyone, and then they just leave. That was another really good moment to give back the the power of Fist to remind this is
Yeah.
who this person is, which I love. I thought it was really good.
Yeah, and I think that it was an important scene because I have to admit that I still haven't seen Echo. Um, but if I'm not mistaken, he is in that and maybe some flashbacks
I don't know.
because
I
he's
haven't
definitely
watched
in
it.
Hawkeye.
Yeah,
Okay, he's in Hawkeye, and that was his first return to the character since Daredevil ended. And he was kind of like a shadowy figure. He was part of the reveal of that show. He was almost kind of like part of the like spectacle of that show, which I don't entirely love. I don't think he really needed to be in it. I think he kind of took away from that show actually because he's such a big character.
Mhm.
He's such a powerful character, and I think if you don't have him, you don't give him anything to do. It was all a jumping. It was a springboard for the Echo show.
Yeah,
Was introducing her and having him be this like enigmatic figure that's kind of like pulling the strings and making her do what she does. Wasn't a huge fan of, and then I feel like they kind of handle him silly in a silly way in the end. I don't know. So it was just kind of strange. I would much rather see him show up in like a Spider-Man project
yeah,
than something like that. I was really hoping for him to show up like in like the last Spider-Man movie or anything like that, right? I'm still hoping to see him show up in something like that. And I think when Matt's character shows up in No Way Home, that felt like it was a little bit closer to reality that we could get Kingpin, Spider-Man interacting. It doesn't. I'm not expecting. It would be hard to do CGI Spider-Man versus Vincent D'Onofrio in a suit,
yeah,
but uh, I think that there could be something there, even if he was just pulling the strings. But I think that having him show up in kind of like true form in that first episode where he shows up at the meeting,
yeah,
it was a good reveal is not the right word, but kind of like reintroduction to the character.
yeah. And speaking of Spider-Man, they made mention of him in this series.
That's right.
It was yeah when Fisk was talking about he doesn't want masks. But he mentioned it was White Tiger, Daredevil, and Spider-Man, pretty much. And it's interesting where they're using that to be like another jump off point. Yeah, we saw him in No Way Home. We saw Matt in No Way Home, and using this in Daredevil's main series to even mention Spider-Man again is a good look as to not in them not being ignored in the main timeline or even with the characters, even with like the
Yeah.
other characters, and trying to say that they
Yeah.
exist.
I think that we have to remember that when the Netflix show came out, it was kind of like a soft, the Netflix verse, if you want to think of those, all of the shows that came out on Netflix that were Marvel Studios productions that were technically set in the same universe as the MCU, but they weren't really allowed to do anything with it. And I think that if you go back and watch like the first season at the very least, they keep referencing the first Avengers movie because that was the big thing that had just kind of happened a couple years prior. And
Yeah.
it was like, of course, they'd be talking about aliens showing up in New York. But it almost kind of feels funny that that's just what they keep going towards, right? It's just kind of like, yeah, things are bad in New York because of aliens. And it's like,
Yeah.
yeah, there's also like bigger fish to fry. You know what I mean? Like, what do you guys think about Thor? You know what I mean?
Oh
Like,
God.
yeah. But like they only can really mention it in passing.
Yeah.
But I think now with it being a way more fully integrated universe, for better or for worse, I think that we're gonna see better hopefully better payoffs to that shared universe being more. This is a Marvel Studios Disney Plus production. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah. And I do hope that there's more. I want to see when it comes to things as they progress. Uh, I want to see more crossover in a positive way. I want to see more crossover that kind of makes sense. They're in New York, and there's a lot of New York-based heroes. I don't need to have like Spider-Man have a whole entire episode. I don't need to have like Doctor Strange, somebody like that have like this
Right.
big, huge moment in it. I would be perfectly fine if you had something where Daredevil's doing something and he ends up running into Spider-Man. Uh um why did I get
That'd be
something that's
awesome.
well, he gets into another fight with Bullseye. Bullseye gets out and starts doing some stuff, and as he gets to Bullseye, you see Spider-Man because they're in New York and Bullseye's a problem. Something
Yeah.
like that. Something that's like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Bam. And then that's it. It
Yeah.
doesn't need to be like this huge, super huge spectacle. Shout out to James Gunn because I think that's what he's trying to do. God, I need to stop praising that guy with his stuff, but I think he does a good job. It's a problem. People are gonna start calling me a James Gunn stan. Not true. I call myself that. That's terrible. Yeah, I'm just gonna leave all that alone. Leave that alone.
I'm gonna let you stew.
And like, yeah, just beat myself up about it. But, it was, yeah, those two episodes were really good. I don't get, so the therapist character, who's now the one dating Matt,
Right.
should have been Karen.
Yeah.
The one who's now dating Matt, using it, we'll find out more down the line when we get more episodes, but having her show up is, it feels like a plot device. It's just her whole
Yeah.
thing. Oh, you show up because Matt's partner wanted him to do therapy. Then you guys start dating. And then all of a sudden, you're releasing a book and you're very popular and you're very much like a big deal that now you're going to do marriage counseling for Fisk and Vanessa.
Yeah, I thought it was strange because I'm like, isn't that like a conflict of interest? Like Matt explicitly said, when during the election night that like he doesn't like him, and then you take him on as a client. So it's very strange. I almost feel like I don't know how confidentiality and conflict of interest works with therapists, but it definitely feels like the ethical thing would be like, actually, I don't think I can take you on as a client because I might you're too high profile and I have my own like perspective on you.
Yeah.
Um and so then I'm thinking like, okay, did they approach him because it was his intern or one of his cronies that approaches her at the book signing.
Yeah.
And it almost seems like he's keeping tabs on Matt through her because he seems to know everyone. Obviously, that's his whole thing, right?
Right.
Fisk knows, he sees everything, right? He sees everything that's going on. So it feels like maybe that's what they're trying to get at there. I'm hoping that's the least. I don't know. We'll see. There's definitely stuff to play out there.
There is, but I also don't want her just to be one of those characters where like my my whole entire purpose was to be another connection between you and Chess. Like
Yeah,
that would
that's true.
be it. I would not like that. But again, we'll see. We'll see what goes on with it because it's a weird situation. Because even it feels like when they were doing the therapy session that obviously Fisk was taking it seriously. They were trying to make it seem
Yeah,
like it's a very serious thing
that
that they're
is true.
doing and
He
taking
was
it.
taking it pretty serious.
Yeah. So even on that aspect, it's like, it's not, obviously he's not there to, because she's dating Matt. That's not the reason why
That's
he's there.
true.
So it's going to be interesting going forward and with that part of the story, him dealing with that conflict. Uh, But wasn't he? What did he win in Daredevil? Wasn't he like mayor in Daredevil in the Netflix series?
Who? Fisk?
Yeah, didn't he win like mayor of Hell's Kitchen or something like that? Because wasn't he running for office
I
there
don't.
too? Or no, I think it was just his high profile case.
Yeah. No, this is the first time that he's done this. And I'm loving that element. I think that we haven't even really kind of spoken about kind of like the main big conflict of the show, what it seems like it's going to be. It is, Fisk with way more power, way more public power than he's ever had.
Yeah. So it's gonna be yeah, it should be interesting. It could play out to be very, very well. It's very much I don't like it feels like they try to make like some Trump aspects to him getting elected, which I was like, that's weird. That's kind of weird to like kind of make those aspects, but it was it's still cool to see him do that because Vincent is also like another great, great actor. I know you guys are looking at it. Is he? I think he just does Kingpin like so well. Every time he's on screen, he has that presence. He has that. Uh, he has that presence, but he also could like he commands that attention when he's on screen, and it's very fascinating. He does it so well, and then just him as a character, even when it comes to like his fights are him being a big kind of brute and just being just this massive guy who's when he fights is also phenomenal to see.
Oh yeah,
I
the
just
Fisk.
think he's such a yeah. I just think he's such a they do such a good job with like Vincent just does a good job overall as Kingpin. Yeah.
The character. I don't have my headphones anymore, so that's what I was trying to see if I had my backup pair, but I can't find them. So
Oh, they died.
yeah, I didn't charge them long enough.
Ah, that's kind of bummer. Um, but yeah, so far it's yeah, 2 episodes down. Oh, the White Tiger before we get off of the subject. White Tiger, I thought was good. Um, I am curious to see what else happens in that realm because, well, one, the actor, which is I got it over here, Omar de los Reyes, I believe that's how you say his name, passed away.
Yeah.
Rest in peace to a real one. But they talked about his amulet.
Yeah, they mentioned his magic amulet, and I'm like, you're not going to inspect that a little bit further?
Nah, it was just accepted, but it's also like, okay, so if you guys are, you're mentioning you're adding more elements into the show
Yeah.
by even like kind of talking about this stuff, which is interesting, but I also want to see like what happens with that because introducing like that magic part into it is sort of big because it also opens up to the realm for other characters who have magic.
The Wong verse further is what it does. Bring the again.
Well,
Wong has to
Wong verse.
everything, and he will be in this show. Mark my words. Wong's gonna need that amulet back.
If Wong shows up,
Proxy for Doctor Strange, because you can't have Benedict Cumberbatch in the costume show up in every show. But but Wong's available.
true. If he shows up, if Wong shows up, I want She-Hulk to show up.
I do too. But we I don't know if we talked about it on length at this show, on our show, on this show, but I am a She-Hulk apologist. I
Oh yeah.
I'm a She-Hulk defender. I loved that show. I don't think the general audience was ready for it. I have
Not
some
at all.
issues with it. Like it's not perfect, but I thought it was. I enjoyed the fuck out of it. I loved it.
Oh, it was. I did too. There was obviously it wasn't a perfect show. There was some stuff that they could have done better, but overall, I had a good time in the show. I liked the show. Thought it was okay, and I thought it did receive well. One, because it's a woman led show.
Yeah.
That you're gonna get that unfair hate from that, and then two, I don't think a lot of people like know She-Hulk or
No,
have. There's not
really,
a big frame reference.
she's a comedy character. You know what I mean? Like you go back to the comics, and it's a funny comic, and she's kind of like a funny character. At least in the important runs, you look at the
And
anyone really cares about, not including some of like her first appearances in the comics, which were very different. But like her solo runs are satirical. You know what I mean? And yeah, I think people were like it ruffled people's feathers the wrong way. And you know,
yeah,
now you're starting to see the kind of discourse change where it's like, okay, we just had a Deadpool movie again. And what do you know? People love the hell out of Deadpool, who does kind of like the same shtick as her. And people did not enjoy that show. I thought it was good. But whatever. So I'm hoping she shows up. That would make me happy. Maybe her and Wong, they know each other. Wong will be in the show, okay? I have nothing to back this up on, but just watch.
hey, your Wong will be in the show is my Adam Driver for everything. It was what it's feeling like. So yeah, I'll give that to you. I'll let you have that one.
He's not even
Um,
in the show. I'm just thinking, like, what are they gonna do? Wong probably. I'd love for Spider-Man to show up. I'd love for Tom Holland Spider-Man to appear. I feel like the end of that movie definitely set him up for a more street level person, like a street level character. So for him to be like, "Hey, yeah, I'm not, I'm just, I'm on the streets right now." You know what I mean? Like not literally homeless on the streets, but like,
I'm
I'm
restarting my life.
he isn't doing great from what we've seen, but maybe he's, that would make sense to me, and I think it would be cool if it is just for like a brief moment. That's definitely my hope. We'll
Yeah.
see. We'll see. I'm not. My expectations on it are pretty low.
Earlier you had mentioned that there was like pretty much two fights in this series. That last fight in that room where he saved the guy who he saved the what I was gonna say something pretty wild. That it would have been better to say I'm glad I didn't say it. It's all I was gonna say something crazy, but he was that guy who was the
Yeah.
platform guy, and that fight.
If you're gonna be,
Uh,
it was really him just beating the ever living crap out of those poor sad sacks who thought they were gonna kill a blind guy. Instead, he was just like, you know what? I'm gonna let it all out on you two poor losers, and I loved
beat the shit out of him.
it.
My God.
Yeah.
Also, that one cop had that Punisher tattoo with like,
I'm really interested to see what they're gonna do with that because if they take this time to be like, we're gonna mention the like hilarity of cops liking the Punisher, I think that'd be really smart to like. And it'd just be a really cool thing to add. To be like, in this universe, there are cops that like Punisher too, and that's also insane because he's a real person in this universe.
he's gonna kill them. Yeah, so, I mean, I think we're both pretty much in agreement with it that we will continue watching the rest of, Daredevil as it comes out. And hopefully
Definitely.
hope, yeah, hopefully it's good all the way through. I deserve this. I deserve a good Matt Murdock story.
What you say?
And I said I deserve a good Matt Murdock story. And the other weird part is that was Matt. The other weird part is, again, I don't really look into things because I'm not trying to be spoiled, but what's up with everybody talking about Muse? I
Oh,
thought he was in the first two episodes.
they've shown
What?
him some of the promo commercials. He's, and they've already hinted at it with the murals.
They have commercials?
Well, like the preview, one of the earliest teasers showed Muse.
I did not know that. That was all because I never seen them in the previews.
It's confusing, and I could be conflating this, but I think people are gonna have a hard time with this. But White Tiger, Hector's suit looks way too similar to Muse's suit, in my opinion, in the way that they did the like the rendition of both of them, because they're both like white masks with tiger striped eyes, and I think that's going to be really confusing for people. So we'll see.
Would you think that they would do the same thing with when he originally got Bullseye, but he was wearing Daredevil's uniform? You think that they're gonna jack White Tiger's uniform and
Uh,
get it altered?
maybe that is why they. I was just thinking like maybe there is a reason why they look so similar in this. That'd be interesting. I was excited for Muse because that run damn, I'm completely spacing on whose written run that was, but it's the Chris Samney artwork, uh, which I love. Oh no, that was later. That was the all new, all different. That's where he has the sidekick. I actually don't remember who wrote or drew that run, but that was post Secret Wars. And it's where I think that's where Muse first shows up, or maybe he shows up in the Samney run. Either way, it's those ones I did read. They're blending together in my head, uh, but I remember liking Muse as a character. I know he definitely shows up in the run. I keep saying his sidekick. Um, did you remember this in that run? Daredevil like takes in a young ward, and he's an agent, kind of like I want to say he's a martial artist, and he gets blind. He goes by Blind Spot. He's like a suit
Blind
invisible.
Blind Spot sounds familiar.
That's
Uh,
like he gets some sort of like tech suit that allows him to go invisible, and so like Matt can see him. Um, but spoiler alert for the comics, I think he gets blinded by Muse. I don't think they're going to introduce this Asian sidekick into this run, this show, but who knows?
Charles Soule.
Charles Soule. Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Charles Soule.
That's the one that
Yeah.
has the artwork, and then covers where the oh man, the covers are beautiful. The Paulo Rivera covers, where they're like painted. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful run. And what's interesting about that, and this doesn't really have any bearing on the show. I think they're wiping it away. But if it's not that run, it's the run prior. But she's in it. Um, his partner on the show, what's her name? Oh boy, blanking on her name. But his partner at the firm, that's his love interest in the comics. So it's kind of weird that like she's not the love interest, she's the friend, and the love interest is her friend. And it kind of feels like they wanted like a few degrees of separation. It's like they wanted a love interest, they wanted to introduce this character, but they didn't want McDuffie, that's her name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they were making her, Foggy's love interest before they killed him 10 seconds later.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. I can't believe they did that. But yeah, they probably, it's probably good that they did not make her the love interest because it would have been, you have Karen right there. Would have been the whole thing the whole entire time.
It would have been hard. Well, I'm hoping that my favorite love interest for Matt shows up. And it's not Karen.
You talking about Elektra?
I want more Electra.
It makes sense to come back in this series, to be honest.
She's been born again a few times.
I mean, she's never gonna die. Let's
Not
very realistic.
that you can't keep a good Electra down, even when you put a sigh right through her chest.
It's just all it is just a delay.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm hoping so. We'll see. But yeah, yeah, there's things that I still don't know if they're gonna do on the show, and I kind of like going into it blind. I think over the last few years, I've decided to go into these things a lot more blindly instead of like obsessively looking up everything beforehand and
yeah.
stuff that I know, because then I either get spoiled and I know something's gonna happen, or they don't do it because it's a Mephisto thing, and I'm disappointed.
God, yeah, the whole entire Mephisto thing. Terrible, 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 terrible. But yeah, we'll see. It's what is it? It comes out Tuesdays, they said. Do they say
I thought it was,
Tuesdays at 9?
I thought it was Wednesdays. Is it not Wednesdays?
Tuesday. The last one came out on Tuesday.
It did? I thought it came out on Wednesday.
No, you probably watched it or heard about it on Tuesday, but it comes out on Tuesday.
Maybe you're right.
Listen, I'm saying this with all the confidence in the world. I could very well be wrong.
I'm speaking with very little confidence because there's a huge chance I'm right because I don't even watch these on premiere day all the time anymore. You know what I mean? So it's it's nice, having a little bit of like I don't have that like bated breaths going into some of these projects anymore like I used to, even like a few years prior, where it was like I've got to see what happens when it comes out, and I'm I'm gonna be mad probably, or I'm gonna be disappointed, or anything like that. Like, and that just goes with I think MCU projects as a whole. I think that I have a lot more kind of like there's a little bit more distance with me. Like I haven't even seen Brave New World.
Oh, Captain America.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't watched that yet either, but I also think one of the good things too is our environment has changed. We're no longer in the
Yeah.
environment where we're used to, where it was pertinent because somebody would ruin it the
Yeah.
longer you waited.
And what sucked about that too is even then I would wait until the evening of, and people would have seen it in the morning and be like, "We got to talk about it." And I'm like, "Don't say anything. I'm gonna see it when I get home, please." I hope someone else watched it the next day. Otherwise, I'm gonna have no one to talk about it with after I've seen it.
Yeah, yeah. That'd be crazy, man. But was is there anything else? That's supposed no, no, no. I think they readjusted their schedule. I think Daredevil's like the biggest show that they have coming out this year, and then they kind of don't know what they're doing with anything else.
Yeah, unfortunately, a lot of stuff got canned. A lot of stuff got moved. I still don't know what's gonna happen with half of those other shows. Is Ironheart still happening? Is
Don't
Wonder Woman
know.
still happening?
That's a good question.
Is Vision Quest still happening?
Don't know. Don't know. They with that Secret Wars released artwork. No, Doomsday released like concept art.
Oh, really?
Oh, you didn't hear about this?
Yeah.
So it happened like a week or two ago, but there's like concept art from Doomsday supposedly leaked,
Okay.
and people just had all these speculations. Like from looking at it, because somebody said something about it looked like Star-Lord and Vision were roommates or some stuff. But there was just a bunch of different things that were going on. Yeah, crazy.
You know what? That would actually make me excited to see what's going on with Star Lord because I just rewatched Guardians 3 for the first time, I think, since I saw it in theaters. And the whole time I'm going, why the fuck didn't Star Lord die?
He should have.
It should have
It would have
died.
been great.
Well, for one thing,
Uh,
being out in the vacuum of space, the thing that killed his dad in the movie prior, but whatever.
Remember, he's half celestial, so somehow that makes him more impervious.
Aliens, I don't know, whatever. He got healed by what? It's fine. I'm fine. I think it would have been a really cool ending if Star Lord would have sacrificed himself at the end of this to, save everyone, including Rocket, who we all thought was going to die in that one because it was his anime like back. What is it? Anime like I'm just gonna keep saying anime. No, like in an episode of an anime where they do a flashback and you're like,
Yeah.
oh, this character's dying. because they're showing
Yeah.
that means they're dying at the end of this, and they didn't, and I'm glad because that movie was emotional enough. But yeah, I don't give a shit about what Star Lord is doing on Earth with his like hillbilly grandpa,
Dying grandfather.
his Mississippi grandpa, like snooze.
Mhm. Did you
Wait,
see my nurse change the color?
let's go to the Dairy Queen where you were conceived behind.
Yeah, yeah, that was funny. But another thing that I'm kind of thinking about, I think is happening more because you've seen a lot more quote unquote leaks for things. I think what's happening now is people are so and so leaking stuff, putting stuff out there to see people's reaction. And if
Yeah,
people hate it, then it's like, okay, so we could change that. Or if
yeah,
people like it, then it's like, okay, we're moving in the right direction. I don't, it's really weird, but I think a lot of people are doing that these days
yeah.
because they don't know how to, they don't know any other way.
Yeah. Well, I think that like the concept of leaks has become so indelibly tied to Marvel Studios projects, especially. Like I used to be on Marvel Studios spoilers Reddit and
Yes.
that's all leak stuff, and it was stuff like okay, I gotta find it. I do also want to note something that's different now too is the inclusion of generative AI now, because
Uh,
in so many thumbnails, and sometimes I'll even like watch a second of like quote unquote like real trailers of movies that aren't even remotely supposed to be getting a trailer anytime soon, and it's all AI. And it's one of those things where, like, I think the content farm knows that, like, people want to see teasers for stuff, people want to see leaked stuff, and it's like, well, I wouldn't say I'm not going to say that like the leaks are AI, but like fake trailers using AI are unfortunately I'm seeing more and more of them, and I think that's just a grim scape that we're in now too. I keep seeing the like fake images of like the Jurassic before the Jurassic World new movies trailer came out. I kept seeing these terribly AI generated images of like Scarlett Johansson with like half of a raptor face, and I'm like, this is tricking people somewhere. There's someone going, wow, I can't believe they're gonna make ScarJo a raptor. And obviously that's not what's happening because the actual trailer
yeah.
mad about that for different reasons, but we don't have time to talk about that today.
Oh God, yeah, that's true. But yeah, oh man, yeah, I'm really hating this whole this wave of AI and everything because I could see the benefit of using it as a tool, but then you got people full on just completely are uncreative, unmotivated, hella lazy. Let me just put AI in spot trash, and then for the fucking studios that want to do it too, use AI. Yeah, just let your people, don't rush your people with work. Let them work,
Yeah.
and then maybe you won't have to use these whole entire problematic AI spots where people point it out, and then you guys got to be like, no, this is not us.
Yeah,
Just to get
unfortunately,
shot.
it's like I can just hear the saliva being generated in these executives' mouths every time they consider the concept of using AI on these creative endeavors. But we'll see. But I can
Yeah,
just
well,
cooling in their mouths as they go, we don't even have to pay someone for this.
yeah, true. We'll see, but I guess that's that on all of this. I don't know why I just thought back to your intro, thought back to Carl Sagan. Probably because it's
I don't know
yeah,
who. Do I know who that is?
I think. Well, you probably don't.
Do you
You know
know
who Neil deGrasse Tyson is, though?
even Zach Baggins, the paranormal guy?
Don't you slander Carl Sagan with Zach Baggins, the fraud.
He's a real paranormal investigator. He has a, he has,
Okay, he's not a. Probably shouldn't say he's a fraud. I just don't care about him and none of his stuff.
Zach
Yeah,
Baggins.
it's awful, 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 and terrible. But yeah, I get until we're watching Daredevil, everybody, and you guys should be watching it too, probably. And if you hate it, guess what? That's fine. If you hate some things about it and still like it, everything I said about it sounded like I hate it, and I'm not
What?
hate watching it. I'm actually enjoying it.
Don't criticize things and still like them. That's kind of like what we do. And usually
Yeah,
we criticize things because we like them. We want them to be great. Um,
yeah.
I'm not holding anything against you when it comes to any sort of critiques you have about this show.
That's what's up. That's what's happening. That's the deal. All right, then, man. Until next time, then.
Until next time, born again.
What the fuck is that? What's up?
It's the